So I'm preaching on Psalm 23, and if you're preaching on Psalm 23, I want to show you a demonstration of how the Sermon Illustrator works. I built this custom AI because I was having to brute force normal AIs to get them to do what I wanted them to do, which is brainstorm a lot of quality illustrations really quickly. So let me show you how this works, right? So Psalm 23. Notice how easy this is to use. I don't have to type much. And so it says, okay, so here's the psalm that you're talking about. And then it says, here are the major themes in it. What is it you're trying to preach on? Well, let's say God as our shepherd, leadership and guidance. So I'll just say number one. All right. So it's like, okay, great. That's what you're focusing on. There's nothing more frustrating than getting sermon illustrations for what you're not preaching on, right? so like it'll ask a program that asks you to make sure that it's dialed in on what it is that you want to preach on. So it says, great, here are some stories and things like that. So it gives me 40 illustrations in 40 seconds. So here's George Mueller. Okay, so Mueller trusted the shepherd and the leadership of God. All right. So Corrie ten Boom in Ravensbrück, during the horror of a concentration camp, she experienced God's provision and guidance. Okay, so that's cool. Migratory birds, interesting. Yeah, guided by magnetic fields and instinct. We depend on our shepherd. Photosynthesis, invisible provision that sustains life. Okay, that maybe is a neat picture of God's provision. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay, that's interesting. Attachment theory. Attachment to a divine shepherd. That's kind of a buzzword in social science and psychology right now, so maybe that's useful. He leadeth me in music. He wrote it after preaching on Psalm 23. That's cool. So it gives me an idea for maybe a hymn that we can work with that morning anyway. And telling that story. Vincent Van Gogh's Shepherd with a Flock of Sheep. Okay, interesting. Movies, The Pursuit of Happiness, I Shall Not Be in Want. All right, Finding Nemo, never gives up on finding his son. Okay, much like a shepherd seeking the sheep. Literature, The Little Prince, The Fox's Lesson, C.S. Lewis, The Silver Chair, guides Jill through dry land to a spring. Okay, that's neat. Metaphors, God's a GPS, a shepherd's crook like a seatbelt, God's provisions like a thermostat, the shepherd's care is like Wi-Fi, okay? So poetry, The Lamb by William Blake, some lines from Hopkins, quotes by Dallas Willard and A.W. Tozer, as well as first century culture. So shepherds were despised, that's interesting. So God identifies with the lowliest role in that context, that's very interesting. Clients and patrons, Roman society ran on patronage, but Psalm 23 points to divine provision. That's a good contrast. The early church, I programmed it to give me illustrations or ideas from pre-Nicene Creed era. Right? So Tertullian wrote about Christians facing the lions, and the blood of the martyrs is the seat of the church. All right. The Good Shepherd in catacombs. All right. So early Christian art portrayed Jesus carrying a lamb. It was the preferred image of Jesus. That's very interesting. I would have to ask it more details about that one. So I'm gonna ask it. I'm actually gonna ask it to give me some info on that in just a minute. Biblical parallels. I'm the Good Shepherd. Exodus and manna. Okay, that's interesting. Current events: food banks and churches during COVID. A Ukrainian woman baking for soldiers. Fables, parables, and folklore. The boy who cried wolf. Okay, trustworthy shepherding. Yeah, that's interesting. I like that. Gives me a good idea to a way to contrast, right? Aesop's The Bundle of Sticks, okay? Cultures around the world, Maasai shepherds in Kenya, the Maori. U.S. history, the Donner Party lacked leadership or vision. Okay, that's interesting. So the Donner Party there's a group that tried to cross the frontier, and it went really badly. So a big catastrophe. I'm probably going to ask stories about that one. In fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to say ask ChatGPT and say this one. So rather than showing you every other ones of these, like sheep can recognize in Iceland, and court cases, the Taco Bell Chihuahua court case. Gladys Aylward led the Chinese orphans through the mountains. Tony Dungy, interesting. So sports ideas, U.S. history ideas. So here's what it says about the Donner Party. So it gives a cautionary tale. By the way, you ever get worried that AI is going to make up stuff? I made it so it does. You don't have to worry nearly so much about that. It provides actual links to places. So here's some from Wikipedia. Here's other websites: Donner Summit Historical Society, Here's different ones, EBSCO and Amazon and ResearchGate. So you get the idea. It gives you very definite research background, like links, where it's not going to lie to you or make up junk near as easy. So if you're worried about that, you don't have to worry about it near as much with the Sermon Illustrator. So it gives like resorting to cannibalism. Wow, this is an intense story, right? 87 of 87, only 48 of them survived. So let's say, give me a narrative that I can paste. All right, so like tell me this story in a way that's compelling for my sermon notes or my manuscript. So it starts off, let me take you back to one of the most tragic stories in American history, the Donner Party of 1846. A group of pioneers, families with children. Along the way, they faced a choice: take the established trail or follow Hastings, who promised a shortcut. So they took the shortcut, but it wasn't faster. It was a disaster. Less than half of them survived. Tell you why I tell that grim story. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. They followed a guy who led them into disaster. Like, yeah, you could use that, right? So here's what you can do. It says, do you want a PowerPoint ready image to go with this? And I'll say, yes. All right, so it's going to generate that image. You ever worry about like copyright issues and things like that? Like if I copy that picture, which is from some website, and they contact me and the lawyer's like, hey, cease and desist. Okay, I've got really good news for you. These images are not copyrighted, which means you can use them without worry about whether or not they are legit or whether or not you're going to get in trouble, right? So those are really significant. If you're regularly producing content, like every week you're preaching 1, 2, maybe 3 times if you've got a Sunday night and a Wednesday night service, and you're worried about you can't check all that stuff. It's like having the best research assistant you've ever seen, who brings you back 40 illustrations and can quickly draw pictures for you. Pretty spectacular. So while it's generating that, I want to show you something really fast. I want to give you this. I want to tell you how I cut hours off my sermon prep with AI, the Pastors and AI video course, right? What this does is teach you how you can use AI for sermon prep without selling out or cheating. It's got a 40-page workbook. It's got 7 now video trainings that I include, along with screencast tutorials like this, where I literally show you, here's exactly the prompts that you can use. I literally have a list of the very best prompts that you can cut and paste out of my notes and into using this, so you get all the benefit. It includes free AI access to this tool. It comes with free access to the ChatGPT tool, the very same thing I'm showing you right this minute. And it includes 7 video sessions, 40-page workbook, the exact prompts, free AI tools. It is so easy. What I'm doing, you can see even non-tech people, like if you're not used to it, I even show you like how to generate better sermon images with ChatGPT. I show you the prompts that you can use to create and edit pictures so they are better and better as you go. So if you're interested in that, you can get it at ai.newstartdiscipleship.com. So this is creating this image, and I'm going to pause this while I let the image finish. And if you are on this page, you can actually down in the video description or on this page, there's a link, that ai.newstartdiscipleship.com. You can find that course and get all of my tips and tricks, everything I've learned in 2 years of working with AI for sermon prep. You can find that at that link. So I'll pause this until the illustration the image is done generating. So there it is. There's the image. All right. So you get the idea. It gives you this image, which you can then copy and paste into your PowerPoint, and you can do things like ask it to resize, like, hey, redo this image as a 16:9 PowerPoint slide, like in the 16:9 ratio, so it's widescreen. There's all kinds of stuff you can do like that, and I would encourage you to check it out. Find the course, the link down in the video description or on this page where you are if you're on my blog, and I will look forward to seeing you inside. Thanks a lot.